जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस AC भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Texts 7 and 8. What's on the board is 8. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Very good. Devakya Jathare Garbham Sheshakhyam Dhama Mamakam Tat Sannikrishya Rohinya Udare Sanniveshaya. Devakya of Devaki, Jathare within the womb, Garbham the embryo, Sesha Akhyam known as Shesha, the plenary expansion of Krishna. Dhama, the plenary expansion. Mamakam, of me. Tat, him. Sannikrishya, attracting. Rohinya, of Rohini. Udare, within the womb. Sanniveshaya, transfer without difficulty. So text 7 and then 8. Text 7. The Lord ordered Yogamaya, O my potency, who are worshipable for the entire world, and whose nature is to bestow good fortune upon all living entities, go to Vraja, where there live many cowherd men and their wives. In that very beautiful land, where many cows reside, Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva, is living at the home of Nanda Maharaja. Other wives of Vasudeva are also living there incognito because of fear of Kamsa. Please go there. Purport. Nanda Gokula, the residence of King Nanda, was itself very beautiful, and when Yogamaya was ordered to go there and encourage the devotees with fearlessness, it became even more beautiful and safe. Because Yogamaya had the ability to create such an atmosphere, the Lord ordered her to go to Nanda Gokula. Text 8. Within the womb of Devaki is my partial plenary expansion known as Sankarshana or Sesha. Without difficulty, transfer him into the womb of Rohini. Purport. The first plenary expansion of Krishna is Baladeva, known as Shesha. The Shesha incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead supports the entire universe, and the eternal mother of this incarnation is Mother Rohini. Quote, because I am going into the womb of Devaki, the Lord told Yogamaya, the Sesha incarnation has already gone there and made suitable arrangements so that I may live there. Now he should enter the womb of Rohini, his eternal mother. In this connection, one may ask how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated transcendentally, could enter the womb of Devaki, which had previously been entered by 6 asuras, the Shad-Garbhas. Does this mean that the Shad-Garbhasuras were equal to the transcendental body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The following answer is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The entire creation, as well as its individual parts, is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, even though the Lord enters the material world, he does not do so. This is explained by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, texts 4 and 5. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah nachamatthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhutabhrannacha bhutasto mamatma bhutabhavanaha. Quote, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, myself is the very source of creation. Sarvam Khalavidam Brahma. Everything is an expansion of Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet everything is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is not everywhere. Everything rests upon him, and yet does not rest upon him. This can be explained only through the Achintya Bheda philosophy. Such truths cannot be understood, however, unless one is a pure devotee. For the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmitattataha. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. Even though the Lord cannot be understood by ordinary persons, this principle should be understood from the statement of the Shastras. A pure devotee is always transcendently situated because of executing 9 different processes of Bhakti Yoga: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Thus, situated in devotional service, a devotee, although in the material world, is not in the material world. Yet a devotee always fears, Because I'm associated with the material world, so many contaminations affect me. Therefore, he is always alert in fear, which gradually diminishes his material association. Symbolically, Mother Devaki's constant fear of Kamsa was purifying her. A pure devotee should always fear material association, and in this way, all the asuras of material association will be killed, as the Shad Garbhasuras were killed by Kamsa. It is said that from the mind, Marichi appears. In other words, Marichi is an incarnation of the mind. Marichi has 6 sons: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in pure devotional service. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Bhaktir evainam darshyati. Only bhakti can bring one in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears from the womb of Devaki, and therefore Devaki symbolically represents bhakti, and Kamsa symbolically represents material fear. When a pure devotee always fears material association, his real position of bhakti is manifested, and he naturally becomes uninterested in material enjoyment. When the 6 sons of Marichi are killed by such fear, and one is freed from material contamination, within the womb of bhakti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears. Thus, the 7th pregnancy of Devaki signifies the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the 6 sons, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, are killed, the Sesha incarnation creates a suitable situation for the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, when one awakens his natural Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna appears. This is the explanation given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. For your benefit, the Vedic teachings primarily fit 2 major categories. One is the entire set of abstract philosophical concepts, and the other is the same taught through history and the biographies of people who have lived in this world for many millions of years, just taught differently. Some people can grapple with abstract concepts, and that is the very, very small minority. To be able to understand abstract phenomenon. For the general population, which is where we all fall, we need to understand it in a very demonstrable way. For example, in physics, if you talk about electricity, it is quite abstract because no one sees electricity. Unless you demonstrate it by the working of a light bulb or some way, then you can see, oh, okay, This is how it works, just like that. So in Srimad-Bhagavatam, we get two things going on parallelly. One is the historical description of the activities of certain personalities, and parallelly is the philosophical constructs that are given. So in this purport, both are happening. So first is the storyline. The storyline is Kamsa, you've been here, so Kamsa heard that the 8th child of Devaki will be the cause of his death. Some discussion happens, and he lets Vasudeva and Devaki go because Vasudeva promises to bring the first child to him and any child after, so that he is not in this constant fear. When the first child is given to Kamsa, Kamsa's heart softens, and he says, it's all right, I'm not afraid of the first one, it's the 8th one that I am worried about. You can take your child back. But then certain things happen. Kamsa becomes very, very angry, and he starts killing every child that is born to Vasudeva and Devaki. So far, 6 of such children have died. And now there is the 7th child. That 7th child is Krishna's first expansion, called Balaram. So Balaram is in Devaki's womb. Now this is where we put on our seat belts and start becoming completely wowed at how these things work. There is absolutely no rational explanation, if you will. Our ability, our sense of rationality begins to be challenged at this point, because Krishna is speaking to his energy, his Shakti. She's called Yoga Maya, his potency that manifests and makes sure that everything is working. He tells her, take this 7-month-old embryo in Devaki's womb, take it out without any difficulty, Sanniveshaya, and transfer it into the womb of Rohini, who's somewhere else, about 50 miles away. About 30 miles away. And make sure that this embryo goes into that womb. And make sure it happens in such a way that nobody knows about it. So Devaki, who's 7 months pregnant, how do you do it? So this is not a material phenomenon by which, you have to go to the gynecologist and somehow they will extract the embryo. And as soon as you extract the embryo, you have to make sure it is preserved. You have to take it somewhere and then transplant it back into someone's womb. How do you transplant? Taking out, we can still sort of think about it, because there are means by which people in this day and age try to take out. Of course, it's abortion. You have to kill the embryo. But how do you remove the embryo gently? This still can be done. Let's say cesarean section. That much we probably can understand a little bit. But without the mother knowing, that's impossible. And then transfer the embryo into someone else's womb. Wow. But that's what is the job of Krishna's internal potency, and that's what she has to accomplish. So then for us as devotees, we understand that Krishna works in many wonderful ways, and one of the ways by which, although our rational capability cannot wrap its arms around such phenomenon, then we look at something else. Can Krishna do something else that seems impossible but is possible for him? And so then there are certain examples that we often use to get a sense of it. In the Puranas, there's a story of the great sage Narada once traveling around the world. Narada is like, Prabhupada called him a transcendental spaceman. He can go anywhere he likes at any time, because he's so spiritually advanced that there is no limitation on him. For example, we are limited. Our soul that is inheriting this body is encumbered by our body. For example, if I want to fly, I cannot. It's limited. I want to swim endlessly. I cannot. I want to go from here to the other side of the world in an instant. I cannot. Because of this body, it poses limitations. This is an encumbrance. But for spiritually free persons, those who are not bound by such body, there are no limitations. So Narada one day was on his way to go to the spiritual world to meet Lord Krishna. So he meets an advanced Brahmana. Brahmana is a very learned person, very advanced in philosophical knowledge, and supposedly very pure in their practices, etc. And now he asks Narada, "Oh, Narada, where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to Vaikuntha to meet Lord Krishna." "Oh, very nice, very nice. Can you please ask a question on my behalf? My question is, how many more lives do I have to live in this world before I can return to the spiritual world?" "Sure, I will ask you a question." Passes along and meets a shoemaker, cobbler, and the shoemaker is cutting hide or whatever and calling out Krishna's names. He meets Narada and says, "Oh, where are you going?" "I'm going to the spiritual world to see Lord Krishna." "Very nice. Can you please ask a question for me? How many more lives do I have to live in this world before I can return to the spiritual world?" "Sure, I can ask." So Narada meets Lord Krishna and asks, there are these two devotees of yours who want to know when they will return back to the spiritual world. And interestingly enough, Lord Krishna says that the Brahmana, the learned person, has at least another 100 lives, while the shoemaker, this is his last life. So that's a little surprising. So Narada says, "Please explain to me, because whatever you do is mystical." So Lord Krishna says, "Okay, when you go back and you meet them, they will ask you what I was doing, because devotees like to know what is Krishna doing. You tell them that I was threading an eye of a needle with an elephant. Because the eye of the needle is very small, an elephant is very big, you cannot pass through, right? It's impossible." I said, "Okay." So he came back to the Brahmana, and naturally the conversation happened, and the Brahmana asked, "So what was Lord Krishna doing?" He said, "Oh, he was threading the eye of a needle with an elephant." The Brahmana started laughing. He said, "Please stop joking. Tell me, really, what was going on?" I said, "No, really, that's what he was doing." He said, "How is it possible? The eye of the needle is so small, the elephant is so big. How can you possibly, it doesn't make sense. It's not possible. It doesn't make sense. Come on." You tell me, Narada, is it even possible? Like, by what? How is that the needle's eye suddenly becomes so big that an elephant can go through? Come on. So then Narada went to meet the cobbler and told him the same thing. And the cobbler just, oh, amazing. Krishna is very amazing. So Narada asked him, you believe it? It's possible? He said, anything is possible. So Narada was like, whoa, it doesn't make sense. So how do you think it's possible? So the cobbler said, for Lord Krishna, nothing is impossible. And then he described that, you see, the largest tree in existence is a banyan tree. And a banyan tree has very small fruit. It's a berry. And inside that berry is a small seed. And every seed holds potentially hundreds of banyan trees, because inside every seed is a banyan tree. And every banyan tree then gives out hundreds and thousands of seeds. And within each seed is potentially another banyan tree. So he says Krishna has designed in such a way that such a massive tree is compacted into a tiny seed. If you can do that, threading an elephant through the eye of the needle is nothing. It's very easy. So that's how Narada understood that what the cobbler has, unfortunately that particular Brahmana lacked. What the cobbler has is something beyond rationality. So when we talk of rationality, we talk of primarily what is feasible. And whatever we consider infeasible, we say it's not rational. So we call it reasoning, rationality. Or within anything that is within the purview of our reasoning, we call it rational. Anything that's outside the purview of our reasoning, we call it irrational. However, we do find that in life, as we mature, our reasoning capacity expands. When we were younger, certain things didn't make sense. How something happens, some physical phenomena. For example, a plane is very big, and one of the things we were taught is when it flies in the air, it becomes very small. The answer is the plane doesn't become small, is because of the distance and the way light works, the object looks very small. Or you dip a spoon in a glass of water and the spoon looks as if it is bent. We call it refraction of light. Or the moon, which is 93 million miles away or some such million miles away, on a full moon night looks as if it's hanging right over Lake Michigan. It almost seems that you can reach out and touch it. It seems very close. Why? Because the way light works. It's called the depth of vision. So we understand a few things as we grow because it's explained and our rational capacity increases. But however much, at some point it has to end, and beyond that is where Krishna is. So our rationality is further honed by philosophical study. And so in this purport, one of the things that is explained is how Krishna is in this world and not in this world at the same time. So then that's a little, make up your mind. Are you in it or not in it? And Krishna says, I'm both. For living entities like us, this dual state of existence is not possible. We're either in it or out of it. We're mostly out of it. Huh? For Krishna, he is in this world and not in this world at the same time. So Prabhupada gives the example of a king visiting a prison. Now, at any time, even a prisoner can say, I am in the prison, the king is in the prison. There's no difference. Hey, both of us are in the prison. But the difference is that although the king is physically in the prison, he's not a prisoner. He's free to move about and walk away. We as prisoners cannot say the same, or anyone a prisoner cannot say. So this material world or this physical body is usually compared to a incarcerated condition because it limits the soul. We're bound. I cannot say I want to leave this body. I cannot. I have no jurisdiction. I don't govern the laws of nature to that degree that I can overpower them. In fact, I am overpowered by the laws of nature. I am forced to take birth in a womb in a particular way. Krishna is not like that. Krishna is choosing. I want to enter this womb. So material energy or my spiritual potency, make this facility happen. He can go anywhere he likes. This world is his. He is above the laws of material nature, so he can manipulate them as he likes because it is his energies. So that's one. Second, why is Balaram there? Excuse me. Why is Lord Balaram there? And then why Lord Balaram has to move from that position to Rohini's womb? So first of all, it is described that the 6 children that were born previously to Devaki, they were actually demons. And they were cursed in a previous life to be killed by their own father. So here's the story. You're aware of the story? What happened? Okay. So near the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma is the first being. And then Lord Brahma creates 9 mental sons. He has the power to create living beings without the help of a wife. One of the sons who was born from the mind of Lord Brahma is Marichi. And Marichi had 6 sons. One day, the 6 sons, they mocked and insulted Lord Brahma when it seemed like Lord Brahma was behaving in an uncultured way. So here's the uncultured way. Lord Brahma created a daughter out of his own body and then was sort of attracted to that young woman and was pursuing her. So it looks incestual and was mocked by the 6 sons of Marichi. Now, why does Lord Brahma do so? When Lord Brahma's body completely is made of intelligence, and intelligence means the ability to discern good from bad or right from wrong. So it's described that Lord Krishna puts his devotees in certain situations to teach the rest of the world certain lessons. Prabhupada's famous phrase is, a mother-in-law teaches her daughter-in-law through her daughter. Because if she directly says something to the daughter-in-law, then the daughter-in-law will be like, oh, my mother-in-law. But she can say to her own daughter, this is not right, that's not good. So she teaches indirectly. Similarly, Krishna puts Lord Brahma in a situation like that, so we can learn that however great one may be in this world, making a choice of sense gratification has serious consequences. Of course, I feel like a hypocrite speaking about Lord Brahma when my own heart's not clean, but that's a lesson for us, especially for me. And we cannot mock at these things. These are pure devotees. However, these 6 sons of Marichi, they mocked Lord Brahma. And so they were cursed. They were cursed to be born as demons. So they were born to Hiranyakashipu as his grandchildren. One of the sons of Hiranyakashipu is Kalanemi. And one day when Hiranyakashipu asked them to do something and they did not, I forget the detail of the story, Hiranyakashipu cursed them. You will die in the hands of your own father. This was in Satya Yuga, millions of years ago. Later in Dvapara Yuga, these 6 sons were born to Devaki. Because they're sons of Marichi, their good karma brings them birth in Devaki's womb. But because they have been cursed by Lord Brahma and Hiranyakashipu, they have to die in a particular way. So Kalanemi is born again as Kamsa. So these 6 children are killed by Kamsa. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that these 6 represent the 6 enemies of the heart: lust, greed, pride, envy, madness, and illusion. And as long as these 6 are there, one cannot become God conscious. So, technically speaking, for an aspiring spiritualist, he has to make sure, or she has to make sure, that these 6 are first killed. And before, and unless and until this happens, Krishna does not manifest in one's life. And Devaki represents bhakti, because from bhakti, Krishna manifests, if you will, or bhakti is the medium through which Krishna manifests himself. And Marichi is the mind. The 6 sons means the 6 effects of the mind are these 6 things: lust, greed, envy, pride, madness, illusion. Now, how to get rid of them? So the whole process of Bhakti Yoga is described. That only Bhakti Yoga is the means to make sure that one is rid of these 6. Now then, once these 6 are taken away, the place where Krishna has to appear has to be prepared. Our heart has to be prepared. So through the agency of bhakti and the presence of Guru or spiritual master, it's possible. So Lord Balaram, who plays the role of Guru, universal Guru, appears in that womb, or in the core of the heart, if you will. And that Guru prepares the heart for Krishna to manifest. And then Krishna becomes the 8th child of Devaki. Now, if for some reason Lord Balaram was still there in Devaki's womb and was born, technically he's the 7th child, right? Now, if the 7th child was taken to Kamsa, Kamsa cannot kill Balaram. It's not possible. Lord Balaram would have finished Kamsa in a moment. However, that's not the way Krishna wants things to unfold. He wants to be the one who will take care of Kamsa. So Lord Balram has to momentarily move to some other condition, or some other service, if you will. Another reason is Krishna wants to confuse Kamsa. Because when this child is born, he is not sure whether it's the 7th or the 8th. Chronologically, it's the 7th, right? Because once a child is delivered, some people say that a child is only alive or considered a living being only when they are born. As long as they're in the womb, they're not considered alive, and this is the justification for abortion. However, those who are pro-life, they say, no. Right in the beginning, as soon as there's conception, there's life. So Krishna confuses Kamsa whether it's pro-life or pro-choice. Well, which one is this, 7th or 8th? And keeping Kamsa confused is part of the strategy. So technically it's the 7th delivery, but actually the 8th child. So you see, Kamsa needs a little confusion, because one of the strategies of killing Kamsa is the element of enigma or surprise. Doesn't know, even if he's good at counting. She's pregnant, this child got transferred. Next is Krishna, is the 8th one, but in Kamsa's count, it's the 7th one. And to make things even more complicated, as the pastime will proceed, the Krishna who enters Devaki's womb then is transferred as soon as birth happens back to Vraja, which is the previous verse. And a girl child who's born to Yashoda is brought here. So when Kamsa sees the 8th child, the 7th, however, the 8th, it's a girl. And Kamsa thinks, a girl? She's going to kill me? Really? How's that possible? So Kamsa is completely bewildered. So back to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation. If Marichi represents the mind, Devaki represents bhakti, then there has to be something that allows for one to become free of these 6 enemies. And he says it's fear. Kamsa represents that fear. So this fear is of 2 categories. Generally, every living being in this world is subject to fear, and because of fear, every living entity has an innate defense mechanism. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha. Eating, sleeping, defending and mating. These 4 characteristics define all living beings in this world. So when you look at animals, they have some defense mechanism. Either they have speed, they have stealth, they have fangs, they have poison, right? Or just might. They're just so big and powerful. You know, a rhino is not fast, but the fellow is so strong. Or an elephant, or a porcupine, very small, but has needles that they can poke anyone. You don't mess with one, right? Or another living being has the element of speed, etc. So human beings also, we have defense mechanisms. We have physical strength, we have an able mind, and we create around us all sorts of defense mechanisms. We build walls, we make doors, we have cameras, security systems, passwords, artillery, boundaries, a wall that is supposed to come up between us and Mexico. Supposedly, they're all defense mechanisms. So we have a fear. What is the greatest fear? All of this fear is for preservation of life. This is the only reason that we have defense mechanisms. We want to preserve life, or we want to minimize danger that will threaten the preservation of life, our existence. That's one kind of fear. That fear actually manifests in our daily life as the fear of loss. We're always afraid of losing something, losing our money, losing our valuables, losing our relationships, dear ones, and of course losing our own body. We call it life. Losing our life is a fear. And this fear is what grapples us. So that's one fear that everyone has. The spiritualists, Prabhupada says, should be free of this kind of fear, but should cultivate another kind of fear. And that another kind of fear is the fear of falling back into this material, or falling back into materialistic mindset. And Prabhupada says that we don't have enough of it, and that is why we still are on the edge of that risk. When we have sufficient fear, we take precautions. However, this world is created such that regardless of what precautions we take, there is danger at every step. And knowing this, a spiritualist, at least we are asked to be extremely fearful of the allurement of material energy. One who's not fearful of it becomes or wants to be, we call it the hero syndrome. They want to play with that energy. Some may be very good at it, but yet that energy is very big. So one shouldn't try to flirt. That's the good word. One shouldn't flirt with material energy. But we do in different ways, knowingly or unknowingly. We flirt with material energy, and flirting with material energy has consequences. It's like flirting with fire. We may be good at managing fire at some level. We can turn on the gas, blah, we can play with it, we can manipulate it, cook something, right? But even good cooks, you'll find, have little marks of burn. Because however good they are, once in a while, they can become neglectful, or they can become overconfident of their ability to manipulate that fire, or they become distracted that they're doing something else, so that fire leaves a little mark to remind us. Now that's one fire. But when the fire becomes very big, not just under a pot, right? But if it becomes very big, let's say the whole building is on fire. However good a cook, right? If some building is on fire, you ask Vishwakarma Prabhu, can you please take care of that fire? Because you handle fire every day on Sunday feast and festivals. Big fire, big pot, great heat. Can you please handle that fire? He's an intelligent person. He'll say, psh, of course not. But there are firefighters who are skilled at working with fire at that level. But yet, it's not like they're foolish. They know at some point they can't do anything beyond what they can do. So having a good sense of I'm dealing with a very, very, very powerful energy needs to be there. But this very, very, very powerful energy approaches us in the very docile, almost innocuous ways. And so we don't understand necessarily how powerful she is. And so we flirt in one way. And we have been flirting with material energy for a very long time. So our teachers, Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas and our spiritual masters, they remind us that please cultivate a healthy fear of material energy, not an unhealthy fear. An unhealthy fear is characterized by rejection of everything. Oh, there's material energy. One of the devotees who used to stay in the temple, we would ask him, why are you not out there distributing books or doing Harinam, Oh, no. If I go out, I'm going to be too attracted to the material energy. I will stay in this building only. I will not go. But unfortunately, that same material energy in this building got hold of him. So that is an unhealthy fear. Suppose someone says, I'm not going to drive because there's so many accidents on the road. I'm not going to drive. That's an unhealthy fear. Yes, there are. But you put on your seat belt, you get in your car, you don't do this and that while you're driving, you're alert, and you try to maneuver through the roads. So putting on the seat belt and being watchful is a healthy fear. Not driving at all is unhealthy fear, for example. So here that fear is described as Kamsa. Because Kamsa was constantly afraid. Krishna, eighth child of Devaki will kill me. The eighth child will kill me. That fear actually purified him because he was constantly thinking about God, just in an unfavorable way. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that cultivating that healthy fear of material energy is very required for spiritualists like us, young practitioners. We're very young. We're very delicate on the path of bhakti. So we shouldn't flirt so much. And like I said, I feel hypocritical saying it because I can recount the millions of times that even after hearing this, it's always that little game with material energy. We try to manipulate her in different ways. It's a reminder. It's a lesson for us. And that fear is required to get rid of these 6 things in the heart. I'm afraid how my envy will manifest with others. I'm afraid how my lust will manifest. I'm afraid how my greed will show up. I'm afraid how my madness and illusion are constantly keeping me trapped. That kind of fear removes. Once my spiritual master was asked, lust and greed and all of this are so strong, how does one overcome them? It's very difficult. And he said the first step is to be on guard. That when you're on guard, you're automatically aware and you're protected. When you drop your guard, then you're done. So if you're in a place where that particular tendency is going to show up, he said, then be on guard. You know what's going to happen. Be on guard. And that's going to help you. You lose guard, you're gone. Okay, 8:30. Any questions, comments, thoughts, discussion? Anything from your side? No? Jai Balev?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, thank you for your class. My comment and question relates to one of your points, your last point, that we should be on guard. And you were also mentioning that this world is like a prison, I believe, essentially. So one thing we see in prison that criminals are trying to escape. And there's criminals or demons within us that escape through our thoughts, words, and actions. And we hear that some of the security guards, you were like, we should always be on guard. Some of the security guards we hear in the scripture is Shravanam Kirtana Vishnu or Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavad Shravana, etc. And these pastimes, we hear that Krishna, especially the holy name, he descends in this world to perform capital punishment on our inner demons. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Nam Hoite Hoi Sarva Jaganishtar. So my question is, essentially, is that even if Krishna does perform, sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but even if he does perform capital punishment on our inner demons, that we see that every day that even, sometimes criminals are put to death, but more criminals are, come in prison. So more demons, appears to come in our minds. So how does one stay enthusiastic where, and determined, because that's the tendency is that I'm performing, devotional service, but I feel like none of my demons are killed. And even if they are, more demons are coming in. So how to maintain your enthusiasm, which is impossible, it seems.
For some demons, capital punishment works, like Shishupal. Krishna separated head from the rest of the body. And for some, capital punishment doesn't work. When Lord Ramachandra cut off the 10 heads of Ravana, all the 10 heads came back again. Then he cut them again. They came back again. Even Lord Ram was stunned for a moment. What is going on? So then he was advised, you need to pierce his heart. That is where, because Ravana is the embodiment of lust. And cutting off heads is described as intellectualizing one's problems, or approaching the problem from the level of intelligence. It doesn't work. You have to cut it at the heart level, meaning unless there is a relationship of heart with Krishna, one cannot overcome such a demon. One cannot intellectualize simply by some philosophical method. So Lord Ramchandra had to pierce Ravana's heart to kill him. So some capital punishment in that sense doesn't work for some demons. So the intellectualizing it is, as I go on, eliminating one bad habit or one demon in my heart after another, someday it's going to be clean. And we are very quickly disappointed because that's not our process. Our process is not that we somehow kill the demons in our heart. Our process is the helpless call out to Krishna to help. That Krishna can do it, I cannot. I cannot kill those unlimited demons in my heart, but Krishna can do it in a moment. So I have to beg for that mercy, my dear Krishna. But I have to demonstrate my willingness, and I demonstrate it to my practices. That's an indicator for Krishna. I am interested, Krishna. I'm interested in getting rid of these, but only you can do it. I cannot. That's our way. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming. How many demons can we kill? What? Another 1,000, 10,000, million, 5 million. It still shows up its heads. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Please do. Please do.